and your proposed results under heating, cooling, lighting, and so on. Then at the end you have the total. And you can see here that this building, with really nothing special or above standard other than the systems, is gaining 3 lead points just for having those systems in there. So take a look at those results, and this should make sense. Now, if you wanted to change something in the building, you maybe decided to use a different system, or even change the wall type. From R19 to maybe you're going to try R15, you will have to recalculate, and you'll get different results here. If you change something in the building tree and then you don't calculate and you go to view the reports, you'll get an error message. You should get an error message saying that the results are not current and cannot be viewed until you calculate again and then view the reports. The input data is always from the proposed building, yes. So the building that you are, is actually going to be built is what you input here, and then the software creates the baseline buildings based on the standards. It'll have the same square footage, it'll have the same window to wall ratio, it'll be in the same climate zone, but the either 90.1 or Title 24 defaults will be used for these baseline buildings. Yeah, and then this proposed building is your actual real-life building, how it's going to be built or how it is built. So now that the calculation has completed and the results are shown here, you can go to the toolbar and click on the Print Preview button. Let me make sure I have my reports selected. I have the 90.1. I have the reports. You hit the Print Preview, and a PDF will be created of your report. So under the project, I don't have all the information entered, such as the designer and so forth, but it'll show up if you did enter it. And then you have the lead compliance reports, EAC1, EAPS, right here. Unfortunately, there's no way to get this directly into the online template. You just have to transfer it over. But we've created these reports to look as similar as we could to the online lead template, so transferring it is pretty easy. Now, we're not going to go over these reports today. They are lead reports for the most part, but this is how you would view them. You just hit the Print Preview. From there you can save the PDF. So a common error that I see from users in modeling VRF, VRV systems is that they don't have the appropriate ratio of the zonal mechanical system here, zonal icon, mechanical tab. The ratio of cooling that's listed here for all of these zones needs to be between 50% and 200% of the output of the central system. So I'll show you what I mean there. I'm going to delete some of these systems just by highlighting them and deleting them. So you only have a few of those there, and you try and calculate, you'll get an error message. EnergyPro, the error messages are listed here. There'll be a description of the message and then a solution. Oh, it's 150%. I said 200, excuse me. And then you can click on the magnifying glass to see exactly where it is. It takes you there. I'm sure you all know the VRF, VRV systems, you really need to have a number of different indoor units connected to that one outdoor unit. So this right here won't work. There's not enough capacity of all these indoor units to meet that outdoor unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that system there and have just the one system in my model now. So say I have 2 group room / office zones here, and I don't want to go through the whole building of it with the room and all these walls again. I can right click and select copy and then highlight the system icon and paste it there, just like other Windows programs. I can also, as I showed you earlier, right click or highlight it and hit delete on my keyboard, or right click and select delete. And you can do that for just about any item in the building tree. You can move a window from the west wall to the east wall just by clicking on it and dragging it up. You noticed on the left that yellow arrow goes from a kind of a thin arrow like that when I'm on the window, because I can't drop a window into a window. But once I get the window into a wall, which I can move it to, the arrow turns to a thicker yellow arrow and I can move it there. Can a room be hidden from calculations without deleting? Not really. In the zone icon, under the general tab, you can change it from conditioned to unconditioned. The lighting will be taken into account, but the rest of the room won't be. There's no really other way to just remove a room. And once you turn a zone into unconditioned, all of the rooms will be set to unconditioned. Can you have 2 or more different zonal systems in the same zone? No, in EnergyPro you need to have just one system serving each zone. Now, fan coil units are oftentimes modeled as a central system, really. Model it there, and then you'd add the zone which it's serving an IDF room or whatever under that central system there. Now, Austin, I don't understand your question. Let me see here. I think it's the question above. Okay. Okay. So let me see what else I have here. All right, another problem people sometimes have is managing the library. Say you have 2 central systems here, and they are both using this P96, this last one in the library here. What's going to happen is if I change the information on this P96 here in the right pane of the library, it'll change the information for every system that has this P96 selected. So let's say I'll change this to 200 and 8000. Since this system has the exact same library selection, it's going to be 208 here as well. What you need to do is you need to create a different library entry. Once you hit the add new, a copy of whatever was highlighted will come up with just a copy of, and you might want to call it 208 or something, and then change the output under the original one, you can leave that as the 100, and now you'll have the 108,000 output under that system and the 208 output under that system. People have that question quite a bit. Can you briefly explain how to model a wall that has an adjacent multi-story building? Sure. Well, you really wouldn't model that adjacent building. What you can do in EnergyPro in the room icon is you add an exterior wall or an interior surface. When you add an exterior wall, it's obviously going to be a wall between conditioned space and unconditioned space. You don't need to model any walls that separate two conditioned spaces in EnergyPro. You can and should model walls that separate a conditioned space from an unconditioned space, and you use an interior surface for that, such as a demising wall. I'm getting error messages here, but we can just ignore those. So once you select that interior surface, you would put the area in, you would select the assembly type, maybe it's an R0 wall, and then you need to select the adjacent to. This adjacent to is going to be an unconditioned zone. And since this model right now doesn't have any unconditioned zones, I'm going to add one. Right-clicking, add zone, this unconditioned zone, unconditioned. Still in office. Then back to the interior surface, adjacent to, you would select the unconditioned. Actually, what you need to do, you need to add a room to that unconditioned zone and put the area. Maybe I have a 80 square foot unconditioned room, and in the interior surface, you would add the unconditioned. You'd select the unconditioned room. You really don't model the adjacent buildings next to exterior walls. I guess the assumption is there's still going to be a little air gap and there's going to be heat transfer going on through there. So if the unconditioned room has a heat source in it, sensible heat, latent heat, process equipment, you can enter that here in terms of watts per square foot. Fan unfunctioning. Ali, I'm going to look into that one. Is there credit taking for shading other than an overhang? So in the window icon here, there is the exterior shading tab. You can select from these shading devices, or you can select an overhang or a side fin. So the overhang library has the name, the horizontal projection. Maybe I have a 12-foot overhang, maybe I have a 2-foot overhang, the distance above the window, and then how far it goes past the left and the right. Kind of the same thing for the side fin. Side fins are vertical. If you're modeling a side fin and you have a question about the right fin and the left fin, it is if you are looking at the window from the outside, or if you're looking at an elevation of a plan, the right and the left is from that reference point, not if you're looking out the window from the inside. Is there a credit for taking machine?